Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined by Danny Hernandez and James DeSanti, recapping another edition of AEW Dynamite. And holy shit, what an episode it was. There was a lot that went on, and we will jump right in with the middle of the show, which is a little rare for us, but for at the time, what seemed like a very, very odd reason, Tony Khan decided to put the AEW World Championship unification match on at 9 o'clock. Seems very odd at the time, but we very quickly found out why. So before the match, Punk, and I thought it was a very cool move, held the title above his head after he got announced for a good minute and a half, it felt like, just to really drive home the fact that he was the quote unquote real champ as opposed to Moxley, which I just thought was a good move. Anyway, this match started fairly normal. Collar and elbow tie up, each guy backing each other in the corner, attacking each other as the ref was pulling the other guy off. And then all of a sudden, it went off the rails. So Moxley's running in for a punch. He ends up short, and Punk plants and kicks him roundhouse in the head, and Punk goes down like he got shot. Grabbing the foot he planted on, which is the foot he had surgically repaired. Mox immediately sees this after he gets up from the kick and pounces on Punk. Beats him down, the hammer and anvil elbows to point. Punk actually pushed him off at one point. I think Mox accidentally caught him pretty bad. And everyone's what the fucking, and then all of a sudden, Death Rider. Moxley chooses not to pin Punk, beating his chest, screaming at the crowd, hits another Death Rider, pins him, flips everybody off, yells, "Fuck you," 1, 2, 3, Moxley's unified champion. Mox goes ballistic. He's celebrating with both titles in the beginning, eventually throws Punk title at him while doctors are checking Punk and making sure he's okay. Mox celebrates, goes out into the crowd. Punk gets carried out by the doctors. And Jon Moxley is now officially your first two-time AEW champion. This is going to be a very controversial match. I'm letting you know right now. I like it. I don't love the match itself. I mean, I'm a little disappointed we didn't get a legit Moxley versus CM Punk. I'm a little disappointed in that. But I feel like there are so many possibilities coming out of this that I'm very, very intrigued by what comes next. But Danny, I'll go to you first because I know you feel the complete opposite way of me. You are pissed, to say the least. You're unhappy about all this. You're unhappy that we're not getting this match at all out. You're unhappy just the way it went. And I guess also, too, you're unhappy the way CM Punk's quote-unquote title reign ended.
I mean, you could have just said you're unhappy and ended the sentence, basically
trying to add a few specifics to
it. How long do we have? God,
we're good.
Do we have? Is anyone here with us yet? Before we get into this, do we have any viewers? That doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. You guys suck anyway, probably.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, welcome in. I'll pretend, I guess.
You he's pissed, everybody.
This was not. This wasn't good, right? Like this was a waste. What was the point of what was the point of, shout out to Nick Maniotis, what was the point of Hangman losing the title to Punk in the first place now? What was the point of anything? I kind of understand why Cody left now. I'm not a fan of this. I said it earlier. This was no Brody squashing Cody, for the TNT title. This was not that. And do I trust CM Punk enough to have something in mind and make something amazing out of this and have a character-driven story based on this? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I want that, though? No, I don't. I want to feel like what we've been through in the past few months mattered and meant something, whereas now it just feels like who the fuck knows what's going on? There's no possible main event that they could put for All Out that's better than this. What are we gonna have, the trios title main event? Like, we're gonna have Best Friends versus the Elite main event All Out? Like, come on, that's not gonna happen.
It's gonna be Aussie Open, but okay.
No, that's the semifinals match.
No, I know. I'm saying it's gonna be Aussie Open in the finals, but
over the Elite. Get the hell out!
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that
even
later.
Worse than that's definitely not main event.
We'll get to that later. We'll stick with the Punk stuff for now.
That's
I'm teasing. It's called a tease.
Okay, thank you.
He's clearly not in the mood to be teased tonight, Nick.
No, I am. I always welcome it, especially if it's from James. I'll take it. With arms, like a really shitty song from the '90s, with arms wide open. I will take that. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this. I can't even articulate myself well about it. I'm not against squash matches, especially shock ones. But I will admit the bias mark in me is upset that Punk got squashed because, we've waited 7 years for this guy to come back and, the injury happens. And that's a bummer because we got missed out on who knows what the Summer Punk would have been like. He said that he was going to face Ospreay and was it Tanahashi who was supposed to face in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So it's like he said in one of the Comic-Con panels, or whatever, like, he was going to face Tanahashi, he was going to face Ospreay, which who the fuck knows how that match would have gone? I mean, especially after Ospreay got the rub from Orange Cassidy, that guy is like a main eventer, man. But there's so much we could have had. I don't know where MJF plays into this. I don't know where Hangman plays into this. I don't know how anyone looks better coming out of this, because I don't even think Moxley looks better coming out of this, because I think the audience coming out confused isn't necessarily like Mox was already like as top tier as you can get. This didn't put him over the edge. This just made everyone question everything. This wasn't Brock Lesnar squashing John Cena, and like I said, this wasn't Brody squashing Cody. This was just odd. I don't know. Maybe when I hear your guys' opinions, I'll be able to articulate myself better. But right now, I'm just stumbling in fucking circles here because I really don't truly know how to feel about this. I'm not happy about it, but like I can't articulate why yet. So I don't know. Please, someone take it away.
Well, James, I'll go right over to you. I am curious whether or not you think any of the backstage politics that have been coming out recently came into play, or if you think this is just plain old storyline and Tony Khan has a plan coming out of this.
Personally, I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I think, right? I think that they decided to work us through something that was legit. I think what happened last week, maybe the seeds were intentionally planted last week. Maybe this was all a work, or maybe they decided to, change things on the fly. But I know every fan feels the way we do. I'm confused. I'm not upset like Danny is. I'm very intrigued. I'm more excited about Mox being champion than I don't want to say more than if Punk were to continue being champion. But I'm excited that he gets to be the first 2-time AEW champion. I'm excited that, his reign is going to probably be pretty awesome. And I think it's just going to add more to the BCC, which is like carrying everything right now,
They pretty much have everything but a tag title.
Yeah. And I'd say that's a great point. And that's one of the things I would have liked to brought up if I could have gathered my thoughts, which I probably should have done beforehand. But
it's hard when you're that pissed, though.
Yeah, like if the backstage heat and drama, because I did think that stuff was put out there to work us,
yes,
that would play into things. But like, let's say it's not, and they're using it to work us instead of they're just going with it. If this was like Tony Khan putting his foot down and being like, yo, no one's above being reprimanded here, not even CM Punk. I mean, that's a baller move by Tony Khan. Blackpool Combat Club's carrying it. You're right, James. Carry on. I'm sorry. You just made a good point. I wanted to.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mox got the AEW championship. Claudio has
the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Wheeler has the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and Brian Danielson, is now fighting for the Daniel Garcia Championship with Jericho.
That is okay.
At All
But
Out.
you slipped up. It's okay
because Brian did it today.
Brian did it. Yeah.
It was perfect.
Everybody gets one.
Brian Danielson. It was a fun moment. But yeah, I'm excited for what comes next, and I think that's always good. You know, like Punk is protected throughout this. Despite the loss, despite the quick loss, they could just rely on he came back too early. Something that, you know, AEW has been repeating a little bit lately with Brian and with Kenny. But Kenny, when he came back too early, he still won. Brian, he got cheated out of a win. He got screwed by the Jake Hager of it all, which that man he needs to stop. But
and then he got his win back and then won the 2 out of 3 falls match. So
Punk, though, he is the only one who legitimately you could actually say, did he come back too early? But even then, it raises questions. Why did he come back when he did? There was no pressing issue that he needed to come back early. You know, it feels just, what is Punk thinking? So I don't know why they did this. I don't know if this is all storyline. I don't know if the lines are being blurred, but we're talking, and that's kind of what you're looking for here. And when you have a guy like Punk who's going to be protected no matter what, and will probably get another crack at the title at some point, or even if he doesn't, AEW can still say CM Punk was their world champion at one point. So, I mean, I would not have booked this way, but I don't know any better. I am a mark. I can say that.
Hey, you had more TV experience than Tony Khan did going into this. Okay? So don't sell yourself short.
I like to think I'm on the same level as Freddie Prinze Jr. You know, that's who I'm aspiring to be, just without Karrion Kross.
I mean, that's high hopes. That's high hopes because let's be real here. I think Scooby-Doo live action movie was fantastic, and
I agree.
Will never be underrated, but never truly get the praise that it deserves. But I don't disagree with most of what you guys have said. I do disagree with the fact that I don't think Mox being champion is more interesting because there's immediately short term, there's nothing they can do at All Out that's more exciting than Punk Moxley.
And I agree. I agree.
There's got to be a long-term plan, though. Like, Tony Khan doesn't think in the short term, and he must be like, okay, long-term, I have this plan for Mox, and this plan for Mox, and this plan for Mox, and I could do this, and this with Punk now that he's not champion.
The Mox's title reign was a short-term thing because Punk got hurt. So, like, that was a short-term idea. But also, you're going to sacrifice All Out for that? Like,
but are you? We have to recognize. So one, a report came out earlier today that Moxley was the one who pushed for this match to be tonight, and that eventually creative production, everybody went along with it. So that's big.
Which leads me to believe that this was the plan all along.
Right? I agree. On some level, yes, Moxley was going to win all along. So maybe then you go to the pay-per-view, you have the rematch, and if I'm AEW, I have Mox do it again. I have Mox.
If they have them rematch at the pay-per-view, that's terrible. What? I don't care.
Eric might explode.
See, but here's the thing. I said the same thing when Kenny took on Christian twice. When Christian took the Impact title off him, I'm like, why the hell are they doing this? But it was because what followed the debut of Adam Cole and the debut of Bryan Danielson. Now, granted, that became better because of those guys debuting, but that means they had a plan. They knew what they were doing. So I think it could work again here. I don't know any better, but it's possible. So
sure.
Go ahead.
No, what you're about to say, they've earned our trust and everything. And that is true. Real quick, hello to Parker Curie. I don't know who that is, but hello, welcome in. Please share your opinions on the matter. But like Eric said, we don't make a long-term plan a week before the pay-per-view. And that's a good point. But I I forgot what I was gonna say because I answered the chat. So yeah.
Well, I will say this: I don't think they made a long-term. I don't think they made a long-term plan the week before the pay-per-view.
I agree.
Reports are they're still trying to figure out what the main event was going to be anyway. So I'm not entirely sure that Mox Punk was going to be the main event.
Also, okay, there's no world where that shouldn't have been the main event of the pay-per-view, but
I don't necessarily disagree.
What, they've earned our trust, but this is also a time where, tensions are running high in AEW, and it's a weird time for this. If anything, that trust is dissipating just a little bit, right? Like, we got to be a little more fair about this.
As a fan, I have no reason to not trust them. If I was employed by them, I would be worried. But as a fan, the production that I have been given, the show that has been shown to me, it's not reflecting that, at least not in a negative way. Sure, if I'm an AEW original, I don't know how I feel. Maybe great if my name is Kip fucking Sabian after the main event, but I don't know. But as a fan, I can't say that any of this backstage tension, drama, whatever, is negatively impacting the show I'm watching. Maybe a guy I like, but not the show itself. And
it's possible that Khan did this just to get the title out of all of that, because Moxley's not within any of that, and then just the Punk and Hangman shit, whatever it is, sorted out away from the title.
And that's if there is legitimate drama.
Exactly.
We don't know. I don't know. I am so confused, and I love it. I genuinely love it. It's interesting because for the longest time, AEW felt like the company that a storyline, while still predictable, felt rewarding. We kind of knew how a story would go from A to B to C all the way to Z, and it might feel a little predictable, but I felt rewarded as a television watcher. I felt rewarded for going along on this journey. Now AEW is starting to become a little more unpredictable, and it's a little scarier, but I don't know that that's a bad thing. So I'm very intrigued with what comes next. I want to see. I don't think Punk is going to be. No, I was going to say I don't think he's going to be on TV, but I do think he's going to be on TV next week. I do. Yeah, and I'm excited to watch it. I want to see it next week. I want to see what Punk does now.
I mean, I guess he cuts the same promo MJF cut after his squash match.
But he curses Tony Khan out and leaves.
I don't know. But it's really, I don't like feeling like, what was the point? What? It's one thing, we're excited about a Punk title reign, and then outside circumstances prevent that, and that's fine. We can't hold that against them. But then for it to come back and be nothing, so it's the company confirming this was pointless. You'll never get what you wanted from that or the satisfaction from that. And I don't know. I just feel like there was more interesting things to do with Punk than with Moxley, and I love Moxley, so I'm trying not to say anything bad about Moxley because I don't. This isn't really about him, honestly. None of this, and that's already a problem as it is, that we're not really talking about Moxley in that regard. He's just the guy who happens to be there, whereas everyone tomorrow is going to be talking about Punk. All the stories about this are going to be about Punk. Moxley is just there, and that's kind of what his first title reign was too, and the fact they're already what's going to main event All Out. And
I didn't feel that way about his first reign.
I mean, his first reign was a little not underwhelming, but
it was also during the pandemic. I feel like we've had
exactly.
Before. It was during the pandemic, no fans. It was a little tough to gauge how well he was doing as champion in terms of crowd reaction and stuff like that.
I guess that's fair.
And no, but
fair point.
We can say the crowd reaction would have been there because he's never not had the crowd reaction, but
limited roster he could face because of the pandemic as well. Yeah, we definitely had this conversation.
Yeah, if it's Brian Cage and Jake Hager in the greatest cinematic match of all time.
Brody Lee, great match against Brody Lee.
Yeah, and a great match against Eddie Kingston.
Yep.
But he didn't main event some pay-per-views and stuff, and that we're already he has just officially become champion. And we're already talking about something else potentially main events and all that.
I still think he does.
I think he does too.
That's a limp main event now. There's no it
depends on what they give him. It really depends on what they give him.
What could they give him? Honestly, what could they give him that's bigger than him, Punk?
I don't know. That's why this is so cool.
But there's nothing out there. There's nothing out. What are they gonna bring in? Bray Wyatt? There's nothing.
His name is John Cena. No, I wouldn't be able to see that.
Oh my god, that would be
big match John versus big match Mox. Sure. If they bring in John Cena, I take everything I just said. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Okay.
I do wonder if there is actually somebody coming in, but I just don't know who it could possibly be unless they're from New Japan or something. I don't think you have a free agent of the caliber of a CM Punk match.
I do agree. I don't know. This is a confusing choice, but I know we all mock the "let it play out" trope. That gets thrown around, but I do think that this is an example. Yeah, I think this is an example of we need to let it play out. The pay-per-view is 2 weeks away at this point, or a week and a half away at this point. I'm not going to bury it now because I don't know what it is. It's not bad. It's just unknown.
Look, man, if you're not going to have a guttural impulse, over the top, angry reaction to something, you're not supposed to be on the internet. Okay.
That's fair. No, you're right.
We're here,
You're right.
Also, Calvin Thompson, Ramen is better than John. But you say Mox can't be beaten. So I'm not a big ramen noodles guy, but
no, I think he's saying.
Wait, is he referring to Dolph Ziggler with the ramen noodle hair?
Jesus, Roman is better than John Moxley. He can't be beaten. He's the bad boy number one. The Bloodline are the bad boys. Can't be beaten. I speak internet.
So do I. I just wanted to make a Dolph Ziggler joke.
Cool. I feel like the Bloodline cool. I'm a WWE fan, and surprisingly I haven't joked about how this ship is sinking and she'll just come over to Monday Night Raw with me and sometimes James on Mondays. But the Bloodline's really boring. And the best part about them right now is someone not related to them and Sami Zayn. So
they're making them he is making them not boring.
But if you like Roman, that's cool. Good on you. This guy likes Roman.
My only issue with this match was that I think it either should have been the first match of the night or it should have been the main event regardless.
If it was the main event, I would feel more of what you guys are saying about being excited and not knowing what's next. But this was buried in the middle of the show. If you're doing that because you know the reaction is going to be bad, then you shouldn't do it, right?
Yep.
But if you end the show with that is a cliffhanger. And then I would be like, what the fuck are they going to do next?
Yeah.
Because I had the rest of the show to be like, what the fuck's going on? And it makes me care less about the rest of the show.
You can't even argue that it's for the crowd's benefit because they're going to film Rampage afterwards anyway.
The timing's weird either way, though, because either you put it in the middle and you could be like, okay, 60-minute time limit, and if this goes the whole way, then we end up just bumping everything.
And I thought they were going to go that way. I thought they were going to push Aussie Open versus Death Triangle to next week or onto Rampage.
Yeah.
But that was...
But, if you put it at the end, then you're going to be like, okay, there's no way they're going over. There's only 10 minutes left. There's something screwy is going to happen.
They did specifically say on commentary, we will stay with these championship matches as long as we have to. TBS has already given us the all clear.
Yeah, but the furthest they've ever gone over is what, 8 minutes? If you start a 60-minute match, 10 and 10, do you think TBS is going to let you stay there for another hour and 10 minutes? You literally have to buy another hour off of them, and they got to put battle bots on.
Not the battle bots.
But I don't know. I understand the placement was odd, but I don't really think there was a place. Honestly, you're probably right. I think James, you said you probably should have put this on first.
Yeah.
But then it goes to Danny's point, where just putting it on there and then letting the rest of the show play out, you just sit there and stew and get ticked off even more, and then come on a podcast and yell about it.
If you leave it in the end, you have the cliffhanger. Or if you just have a main event the pay-per-view and you do this in fucking Chicago, imagine the reaction.
Yeah, but they don't want to turn Mox heel, and they would that would be nuclear heat on Mox in Chicago to do that to Punk.
Yeah, I know he's from Cincinnati, hence the jersey, but I mean, they were in Cleveland. It's Cincinnati adjacent. They at least are going to cheer for the guy from Ohio, you know, despite the fact that Cincinnati and Cleveland don't necessarily like each other, but they're still cheering for Mox, as opposed to, like James said, you do that in Chicago, that's nuclear heat.
So it's a good cliffhanger to end the show on.
And I just want to say, I think tonight's episode of Dynamite was superb. I love this show. I think this was a great episode of Dynamite.
Good pacing.
It's hard to say.
Good. What was that?
It's hard to say.
I thought it was a great episode, and I think if they had started the night off with the Punk Mox match, it would have had this.
Sucked.
But I think the night would have had this air of what the hell is going on, because there were a lot of what the hell is going on moments throughout the show.
Yeah. And I thought they did a very smart thing of after that match, they let it breathe for quite a bit. I mean,
they did.
Just
something AEW doesn't really do.
Yeah, and we'll end up running through everything, I guess. But, you know, there was the backstage interview with Christian Cage. Ricky Starks had his promo. They went backstage to Mox, which I loved, because it went, was that how not that? That's how that. Was that not how that was supposed to go? And he was fired up in that promo. I loved it. And then they finally got to the main event match. Like, there wasn't a match after that until they got to the Death Triangle versus United Empire match. So I thought they did a good job of just everyone, like, letting everyone sit there and just be like, whoa. Even with the Ricky Starks promo, which I loved. And again, we'll get to that later. The only other thing I can... So go ahead, Danny. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, fucking Dragoon is back with us after what feels like months, and this is the bummer of an episode he comes back to.
It's not a bummer.
I disagree. This is a bummer.
It's not a bummer.
I am curious. The only other, just one more possibility I was thinking of, and Danny, I believe I mentioned this to you before we started the show. I wonder if Punk actually did come back too early, and if something happened, and perhaps he needs to be out longer, and they just didn't want to continue this interim reign. So they'd be like, hey, dude, can you just like jump in the ring? Are you cleared enough to jump in the ring for 5 minutes and like plant enough to hit a kick and then fall and get pinned? Because he didn't really do anything in this match. Like, he didn't hit a real move or anything. So if it was just to get him out and like let him be out for a longer amount of time without the interim hanging over Mox's head, and, you know, the idea of Punk coming back eventually just hanging over the entire show, I wonder if that's a possibility. I mean, there hasn't been any reporting to back that up, but it's
I could accept that if that's
curious to know if it's true.
If that's what happened, that's fine. Then this would be them making the most of it. And if it turns out that way, I will ease up on my stance on it. But as of right now, I am worked because I care, because I like Punk, because I'm a mark. Okay, like it's pretty straightforward. I watched this like really well put together video essay, but really just recap package of the Punk MJF feud. It was like 40 fucking minutes on YouTube. I forgot the channel that made it, but it was fucking phenomenal. Had me so hyped for Punk and his return, and all the wind has been taken out of that now. But yeah, we'll wait. I'll wait and see like what comes out about this. But if Punk wrestles Mox at the pay-per-view, I stand by everything that I said. But if he is hurt and he did, like, they just squeeze this in, that's okay. Like, I will accept that, and I'll just be upset, but not at anyone or anything, just in general.
Man yells at cloud.
I have one more batshit insane theory with nothing to back up. They are, as we mentioned, they are leaning into this Punk came back early thing pretty hard. And what if they lean into it was Tony Khan that got Punk to come back early? And guess who's really pissed off at Tony Khan right now and has a prior relationship with CM Punk?
If it's doesn't involve Tony Khan being an on-screen presence, sure. Because
I would hope, I would hope not too. I think Tony Khan not being an on-screen presence has been great for this show, but Tony Khan being the villain for a heel MJF and Punk and just letting you pick which one is the face and which one is the heel could be a lot of fun. MJF returning being like, this motherfucker made you come back early. You see how he brings you all the way to the top. then he makes you think you're his boy, and then he fucks you over. Could you imagine MJF coming back and saying that to Punk and Punk agreeing with him?
I'll also say, I'm sorry, just real quick.
No, go for it.
When Mox beat MJF in their title match, there was some controversy about the finish, about what Moxley was and wasn't allowed to do. I think he wasn't supposed to hit the paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And,
he did, but the ref didn't see it, if I remember correctly.
So it wasn't the cleanest of wins. So there is a story there too with MJF and Mox.
There are a lot of parallels. I was saying this earlier, like Wardlow squashed MJF. Now Moxley squashed Punk, and Moxley also beat MJF. And like you said, they said dirty finishes. Punk's attitude last week in his promo was similar to like an MJF's, and he was alluding to he supposedly went into business for himself in the promo, and there's a lot of parallels, and there's all these reports about now Punk being unhappy recently, supposedly even to the point where he might have walked like a couple. And you know what? For what it's worth, I don't believe those stories. Honestly,
yeah,
I don't think that's true.
But
the parallels are there, and I would believe that they would put out a story like that to work us. And that being said, this is a lot. This is convoluted. That's a lot of shit. And then if they're both mad at Tony, why would they fight? Why would they like align themselves together?
No, I'm saying they would align themselves.
I don't. Oh, you're saying who would be the face between them and TK?
Okay. And
gotcha,
Tony Khan would send probably Hangman or somebody. There's.
No, I wouldn't want that.
Not necessarily Hangman, but he would have to send somebody, I guess.
I wanted to bring up something, but I got. I think something I liked about this that Eric brought up in the chat was Punk doing the whole look back after the match while he's being helped out and looked genuinely emotional and sad. That was a very nice touch to this. That was like the one moment where I was like, maybe things would be okay.
Yeah, I mean,
his utter heartbreak and sadness.
Yeah, he got screwed out of the Summer of Punk and the title reign, and so did we. But everything he thought he was going to have, and it's gone now. So we'll see where that takes the character of CM Punk. We'll see where this takes Jon Moxley being the new unified champion as we head into All Out. We'll see where it takes all the backstage drama, whether that be between Punk and Hangman or MJF and everybody. It seems like there's a whole realm of possibilities to this point where we've already talked about this for 40 minutes and we need to move on. So we're going to go to the top of the card. We're going to do the main event last, and we are doing everything out of order.
And also, what did you guys think of it? Leave it in the comments.
Yes, keep talking about it. So we begin at the top of the show where Chris Jericho had his face-off with Daniel Garcia. And I guarantee you, between Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia, I called him Daniel Bryan at least one more time. That's why I fucked up the first time. I'm probably going to fuck up again. I digress. You're a wrestler chance for Garcia as he came into the ring, which I thought was great. Jericho basically tells Garcia all he has to do is apologize for putting his hands on him last week, and it's all good. Garcia responds with that he had a great match with one of his heroes, and Jericho ruined this moment when Bryan went to go shake his hand, and he was pretty pissed off about that. Jericho abandons the idea of an apology and just basically says, look, all you got to do is say you're a sports entertainer, and we're fine. And before he can respond, Bryan comes out. Bryan says Garcia can be whatever he wants to be, but he thinks Garcia is a wrestler, which leads to more you're a wrestler chants, which the crowd was great with again this week. Jericho again tries to get Garcia to say he's a sports entertainer, but Garcia says that he's too stressed and he can't make this decision right now, but standing between his mentor and his hero live on television, and goes to leave. Jericho grabs him and spins him around, and Garcia pushes him to the floor. So Garcia is visibly upset. He leaves. Bryan makes a great quip about not really enjoying sports entertainers, but finding that very entertaining. And then Jericho gets really pissed off and says that Chris Jericho, the Lionheart, last survivor of the Heart Dungeon, is a far better wrestler than Bryan Danielson. See, I told you, would ever be. He's forgotten more about wrestling than Bryan ever has. And Bryan responds with, do you think Stu and Owen Hart would think you're a better wrestler or I'm a better wrestler? And challenge Jericho to a match right there and then. Jericho agrees to have that match at All Out, and then the aforementioned Jake Hager comes in, jumps Bryan from behind.
Boo! Boo! Jake Hager.
Wait.
We are not his people.
We are not, but since I was so negative, can you go to me first so I can be positive to balance it out?
Sure. All right. Go ahead,
real quick though, shout out to our chat. Yeah, give Ricky Starks all the titles. I'm not against any of that, but
yeah, I love Ricky Starks. We will get to him, I promise.
Yeah, he's great. But this was actually just amazing for me. It was a home run. I loved everything about this. There's nothing I disliked about it. Like, I'm not the biggest Daniel Garcia fan, but I'm not on Eric's level of disliking him. I see it. I don't see it as much as maybe Bryan Danielson does, but I trust him a little bit more than myself in terms of this one specific aspect, and maybe the environment too. But Garcia actually had great facial expressions during this.
Oh, he was such a better actor in this than I ever seen him before.
Yes.
He looked so anxious.
First of all, he looks like a baseball player, but
he does.
he had such good facial expressions here, and like maybe his cadence isn't the best for his promos, but like the emotion was there, and he did everything he needed to do with it. Like the conflict was perfect. Bryan is so good. He said 4 lines and did everything he needed to do perfectly. Had the crowd in his hands. Jericho is always great on the mic. That's pretty much not up for debate. He nailed it. Everything about this was great. The crowd, like you said, they nailed it with the "You're a Wrestler" chant. We were talking about this on Monday.
Tonight. Shout out Cleveland.
Yeah,
a rare sentence.
WWE was just there, and they weren't such a great crowd, but for AEW they were a fantastic crowd. But I thought this made me excited about a match that I wasn't excited about when we first got the report that it was apparently planned for All Out in the Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson match, because on paper that sounds like a great match 5 years ago, 8 years ago,
probably
12 years ago when it happened. When it happened 12 years ago, it was fantastic. And it's funny that Jericho said in his promo, I've never seen anything in you. I've never seen you. Everyone says the best wrestling world. I've never seen it. When Jericho loves to brag about how after he had Bryan's first match in NXT, he ran backstage to Vince to say how great this guy was. And I believe Jericho's smart enough to purposely be a hypocrite in this scenario while putting him over. So I love everything about this segment. I thought it was a home run. I'm excited for a Jericho Bryan match in 2022. And I don't care whether Garcia's on a forklift, on a pole, have to climb a ladder to get to him, no matter what it is.
Shark cage.
They just did the shark cage. I prefer not to have that one.
More corporate synergy.
You just said you didn't care. I was throwing.
I know, and you
found.
You found a way to make me.
What other Discovery? What other Discovery shows can we hang Daniel Garcia from?
Do they have a pawn
my
shop
600-pound Garcia.
No. Use one of the boats from Deadliest Catch. Like use one of their cranes and put him in the crab cage or something.
God.
Honestly, Dan, you brought up a point I meant to write down, and I commented on what you're saying. But Daniel Garcia in this promo, I think, was my biggest takeaway. He was far and away better than I've ever seen him before, both backstage and in pre-tapes or anything. This is the first time I'd really seen him be front and center of a promo. I remember when the JAS first started, and he got a couple of lines, and he was a little shaky, and he just sounded kind of awkward. He was so much better in this. I liked some of the off mic talking him and Jericho did while he was composing. You can tell just because he was so upset, and I thought he played that so well. So big ups to Daniel Garcia. He really brought it tonight. He really impressed me. He's really impressed me the last few weeks, obviously, but I knew how good of a wrestler he was, James. I didn't realize how far he had come in his promo skills.
And that's why it's perfect that he started out with the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah, which is something you said when he first went there.
We really were all confused why he didn't start off with the BCC. Everyone wanted it. Everyone thought it was the right move. But this is why it benefited him. This kid could go in the ring. We know that. Technically, he's great. Technically, in the ring, he's amazing. So put him in a group where they're already going to highlight his strengths, and then they're going to boost his weaknesses. And that's what happened here. So now that he's gotten a little bit of a rub in that regard, now that he's getting better, I agree with you. I think this was his most comfortable promo. I think this was the most comfortable we've seen him with a mic in his hand. He always sort of looked in the past, and I like Garcia, but he always sort of looked like he was trying to remember what he needed to say. Tonight, it felt real, it felt raw, it felt great. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. Shut up, Nick. I'm really happy with how this turned out. And, I don't know. There's a part of me that's still wondering, am I going to, is he working Brian right now? Is this all just a way to screw the guy he couldn't get the win over? Or is he going to join the BCC and honestly finally give something Brian to do with that group? He feels so disconnected from it. So this is perfect. Maybe they go for the tag titles.
I
or him
agree,
and
but I also disagree. I think everyone in the BCC is disconnected from each other right now.
I disagree. I feel like last week, Claudio and Yuta coming out for Moxley during the Punk Mox confrontation. Yuta tends to come out with either Mox or Claudio.
Yeah, but the Yuta Claudio dynamic feels forced. Also, I got to real quick, Eric Garcia puts Yuta to shame. Take it as a win. We got him to like one of the guys at least. Come on, let's take it.
I'll take it, but it feels dirty.
It's a win, but yeah, I know what you mean because Brian is still doing his own thing ever since the concussion happened. But he's the guy that brought Claudio in, and if anything, Claudio and Mox feels a little forced to me. And Yuta feels connected to both Mox and Brian because, they don't
do anything together.
Yeah, I know, but again, a lot of that was set back because of the concussion. Whereas, I don't know. I guess Brian is turning face so he can join his face stable, again. But I do agree with what you were saying about maybe Garcia's gonna swerve. Is a big swerve. I don't think it's a big swerve, but I think he still might not align with Brian yet.
Right. Yeah, right away.
It won't be like I was playing you the whole time. It'll just be like in the moment I made my choice.
It's possible.
Like we saw a couple of weeks ago with Daddy Ass. He chose his sons because he felt like he had to as a dad, but he realized he'd made the wrong choice all along. And he should have been back in the future AEW Tag Team Champions after September 4th. But, we'll get to that later.
I agree. And it's a fun mystery as to what's coming next. I will say, can we just move on from Brian coming out of the heel tunnel? He's not a heel. He's a dickhead, but he's a babyface. Stop trying
that was a key thing. That was a great thing you brought that up. Garcia went out the face tunnel. When
I believe he did.
Yeah, he did. Wait, so the left is the heel tunnel.
Tonight,
he went in the right. He went in the right.
Oh, he came out the right.
Yeah. Tonight, left was the heel tunnel.
Oh, he came out. He entered through the left, but when he left, he went through the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know. I love this. This is probably the storyline that I'm most invested in right now with AEW.
Same. Yeah, after the title scene, I have nothing besides this and the tag title scene.
Yeah, I was saying the Acclaimed.
Well, trios for me, but yeah, I'm loving this.
The trios champion should be the Acclaimed of Daddy Ass, but I'll take whatever jabronis we get.
2 weeks, only a few weeks too late for that to actually happen because that would have been fun.
But good segment.
Yeah, let's move on to what I thought was a very, very good match. It probably might have been match of the night had it not been this night. Dax Harwood versus Jay Lethal. This was everything you expect from a Dax single match. It was hard hitting. It was technically sound, and it was just really fucking good. At one point, Dax had Lethal in the sharpshooter and was about to win, but Sanjay came down and distracted Dax enough to the point where he broke up the submission, which was annoying. The match ended with Dax going for the Okada roll and getting it, but Lethal grabbed the tights. It was able to flip it and gets a dirty pin, which sucked. Sanjay then grabs a mic and announces that while he agreed to a trios match against FTR and Wardlow at All Out, he didn't say who was going to be in it. And he announces it's going to be Jay Lethal versus, drumroll please, Motor City Machine Guns.
Yes!
I was expecting that from James.
Yes! Can you please just
go?
I'm ready.
Go ahead, go.
This doesn't make any sense. It's weird. Why? But oh my God, in a company where I keep thinking I don't have any more dream matches coming my way, they keep giving them to me. Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR has been on everyone's wish list since FTR has left WWE. Motor City Machine Guns, for the uninitiated, the Young Bucks might have been keeping the tag team wrestling scene afloat for the last decade. The Motor City Machine Guns were the tag team that were doing it before them. There is no modern tag team that hasn't taken something from the Motor City Machine Guns. An amazing tag team, amazing singles. Come check us out on Impact on Thursday nights where they are flourishing right now. It is a great time to be a fan of the Machine Guns. If you've never seen them before, you are in for a treat at All Out. Again, it doesn't make sense. They're not heels. They're baby faces. Their connection to Jay Lethal probably comes from TNA/Ring of Honor. Still, doesn't make sense, but I do not care because we're getting FTR versus the Motor City Machine Guns. And this match, which went from being quite possibly the most boring match on the card when it was Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh, has now become the match I am freaking most excited for because of the Motor City Machine Guns. Great. I don't know if this is a change because Tony saw how poorly the match was being received. I don't know if this was always the plan. Either way, this is great. Did I say it was great? Because it's fucking great.
Please. Could you please tell us how you feel about this fucking shit, man?
I think it was great. It's going to leave quite the impact in AEW.
2 minutes.
You put a lot of emphasis on impact. I don't know why. I'm so confused. Rev, what were your opinions on this?
It's fine. I was like, James, so Motor City Machine Guns is still signed to Impact, I would assume, then?
Yes.
So this is another talent share between the two companies. That's pretty cool.
It seems that way.
Glad that door's still open. Honestly, yes. I'm actually really glad that door's still open because I was very much enjoying when Impact guys and girls were coming to AEW and vice versa. So,
and I think this is going to be an example of an outside talent actually, spoiler, I guess. I think they're going to get the win over at the Pinnacle. I think so.
Pinnacle Light.
Because that way they could set up for a proper match between FTR and the Motor City Machine Guns.
That's possible. And like you said, Motor City Machine Guns, they do have history in Ring of Honor too. So, whenever that comes about, but, they could show up there as well. I think Excalibur mentioned they were multi-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. So that's really cool. Honestly, I'm excited for this. I haven't really seen too much of Motor City Machine Guns. I think I've seen them a couple of times. I'm obviously not nearly as hyped as you are, but I do know they're very good. Honestly, I want to talk about this match. I loved this match. Once again, Dax delivers in a singles match, Danny. I genuinely really like this match, even though he lost 30, which is upsetting that the dude cannot buy a singles win.
I forgot to talk about the match.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'm sorry.
What got you so distracted? I don't understand. But the match, I mean, what you said at the end there is kind of trumps how I feel about the match. The match was fantastic, but can Dax win a match? Especially if whichever one of you guys just said it, if they're gonna lose to set up a proper 2-on-2 tag match, that's terrible. Dax needs to win some matches. He's so good. Why couldn't he beat fucking Jay Lethal? AEW's Jay Lethal, not Impact's Jay Lethal. Not fucking amazing Jay Lethal.
Not Ring of Honor Jay Lethal.
Yeah, we're jabroni Jay Lethal. And not the Ring of Honor Jay Lethal. We're talking about Tony Khan's Ring of Honor Jay Lethal. That's a jabroni right there. Why is this guy still I hate this faction. I hate that they're on TV so much. It's fucking annoying. If I was an AEW original, I would be upset. I would be over it like a certain Kip Sabian. Why do we keep talking about Kip Sabian? That's so weird.
Because they finally took the box off.
Yeah. Which I can't actually wait to talk about that. But that's
we'll get
there. But like this one, like this is the same thing when I know we love him now. We love Daniel Garcia now, but like when him and 2.0 were just on Dynamite like every week for like 8 weeks when they were nobodies before they were doing anything of note. Like this is what Jay Lethal's group is now, except way worse because only one of them can wrestle. 1.5 of them can wrestle. Like I know Sanjay Dutt can wrestle, but he's a manager, so like he's not supposed to be able to wrestle. He's supposed to be bad. So that's why he gets the half there. But like I'm sick of this group being on TV. So like I couldn't even enjoy this match for how good it was. Because everything around it was upsetting. But Motor City Machine Gun is going to be here, and that's going to be pretty cool too. Even though, yeah, like James said, it doesn't make any sense that they're aligned with Jay Lethal here. But whatever. I don't care that much.
Yeah, I do agree. I don't want to say I'm sick of Sanjay and Jay Lethal because I do actually kind of find them entertaining, but
likewise,
they definitely need to get onto whatever this Ring of Honor show is going to be to just free up some more space.
Hey, wait. Are you telling me? Did you just say the Machine Gun should leave Impact for Ring of Honor? No.
I was saying that the Jay Lethal and Sanjay and
okay. I'm sorry. I got defensive there for a second.
No, I'm looking forward to them going to what I imagine will eventually be a weekly Ring of Honor show and have them be a bigger presence there. Even though I am enjoying them, but I think they'll do a lot better there, and I think they'll be a lot more well received over there.
I think so too.
So I'm looking forward to that because I agree with you, Dan. As much as I love this match, and Dax losing sucks, and I know it was dirty, but it still sucks, and just I get it. I get the Jay Lethal experience. He's at this point I think much better suited for Ring of Honor, and allowing somebody else on AEW, especially, a homegrown talent, to have that slot. All right. Let's move on to what actually is some pretty big news, but got completely buried by everything else this week. Thunder Rosa is hurt and is stepping aside for the time being. She's not relinquishing the title, but they will be crowning a new interim women's champion at All Out in a 4-way match between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida, and Toni Storm, which should be a very good match. This is obviously, James, very unfortunate, and like I said, completely buried, but it kind of happens with the women's division in AEW. But this sucks, dude. This really does suck.
This sucks for so many reasons. One, I don't want to see Thunder Rosa as champion or around the championship. That means when she comes back, she will be.
Started with the harshest one. Nice. I like it.
1. 2, I think this was Thunder Rosa's best promo in over a year, and it had to do with her crying about dropping the belt.
Never mind. He started with the second version.
3, if Toni Storm does win, it means nothing because she should have just beaten Thunder for it in the first place.
Hard agree.
She will, but yeah.
I don't know. I could do 5. Those were 3 big ones, though.
Those are good reasons.
Wait. I do have a good thing to come out of this. I need Jamie Hayter to win. All right? I need Jamie Hayter to win this because I think it opens up the door to so much. And it depends on how injured Thunder is. Because if they do Hayter winning and then eventually dropping it to Toni Storm, who then eventually has the match with Thunder Rosa and beats Thunder Rosa, you could have a nice little trajectory where you actually have an interim championship change, which they haven't had occur yet in AEW. 2, if Hayter loses it because Britt costs her, that sets up another women's feud.
Yeah, and then you all know is coming eventually.
Exactly. And then you have Toni turning... You have Jamie turning face in that situation, and then if you have Toni versus Thunder, you could have Toni turn heel, or you could have Thunder turn heel to take the title from Toni.
I still think Thunder was going to turn heel after she lost the title at All Out, but that's obviously out the fucking window. They obviously haven't said what this injury is. She just said she's not able to compete, and it's clearly long enough to the point where, they're going to have an interim championship. So hopefully longer than the whole Sammy Cody thing. But
Punk was gone for like
3
a
months.
month and a half.
Was it only a month and a half? It felt longer.
He got injured right before
Forbidden
Door, which was June.
July. Yeah, okay. So it's, I guess, month and a half, almost pushing 2. So, yeah, I mean, so she'll be gone at least 2 months. I don't know if you want to do a title change within 2 months like that. It's up to you, unless, like you said, Britt screws Jamie for being jealous that she wins. I think Toni Storm's going to take it, but I also think Toni Storm was going to take it anyway. But that's neither here nor there. We'll save that for whenever our all-out prediction show is. But, Danny, as I said, I think this sucks, and it's obviously another wrench into things as we head into All Out.
So I agree with Eric in our chat. He hasn't written it yet, but I agree with him that they never should have taken the title off Britt. But that's a little preemptive for Eric whenever he gets around to making that comments. But I do agree that I think Tony's going to win. I like the hater idea. I just think it's a stretch match. She's like not built up enough, which is like a low bar for the women's division as it is. But like, I know this could be the chance to take the rest, so that's why I'm not against it. I think
you could do it with the TBS championship if you want as well.
You cannot do it with the TBS championship.
No, it's the more important belt right now. But that's why it works here, because it's only the interim championship. It doesn't count. So even if she wins, she won't. If she drops it to Toni, she will never be recognized as champion.
Yeah, you get recognized as an interim champion. You don't get recognized as champion.
And that's a really interesting wrinkle. I don't know if Jamie can pull that off though. But I'll be willing to give her a chance because I do like it. But you can also do the Britt Jamie stuff just from this match alone.
Yeah, and I think they're obviously going to. Like, we're going to see them butt heads in this match.
But even then, isn't it sad that we're only going to finally get another step in the story because Thunder Rosa got injured?
Yeah.
Like, when would this have happened otherwise? This is a good example of, because AEW is great at long-term storytelling. As much as like the main criticism of them is that they don't tell stories, it's fucking weird. But like, with the women's division, they don't have long-term storytelling. They just don't tell a story. And so it goes on for months. Like the Ember Moon Jade has been going on for what feels like 8 months. And she's only been in the company for like 2.5 months. And she's only feuded with Jade. And they still haven't had the fucking match. Like,
and it's all on Rampage. So, barely anybody sees it because Slot of Death.
So good job, Statlander.
Oh my God.
Statlander alone.
Yeah, that's one of that's one where like, I know we said earlier, whenever we're talking about like the dissatisfaction backstage, you're like, that hasn't, we don't see that as fans, but it's like, you do to an extent, because I'm like, if I'm a Chris Statlander fan, I'm like, bro, what the fuck, bro? Like, which I am a Chris Statlander fan, like, when is this person going to go shine? But the woman's, that being said.
When she's not injured for another 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. That being said, you're to John Blattner, and
you're.
That also being said, this is I think the women's division is the division where you actually need to give a title to the ex-WWE person, honestly. Yep. This is the only division they haven't done it with, and it's the one that needs it the most. So I just say Toni should have won it at Forbidden Door, but I get it. You don't want to shortchange Thunder Rosa. But, and then we wouldn't have gotten the amazing team of Thunderstorm, who I think lost their big match. So, like, the amazing team of Thunderstorm. But I actually think this is more exciting than just a singles match because you're throwing in the hater thing. I think that's way more exciting. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad no matter who wins because it's all four good people. Sheeta's the least exciting, but Sheeta deserved to hold the title in front of fans. So that would be nice.
And I love
yes.
Britt. A lot of the internet would be mad about Britt, but she's the fucking only star in the whole division besides Jade. So that's not a bad decision either. Toni is the ex-WWE person, but the one who I think needs it because she's on the precipice of being a big star in the division. But she's
very hot
that
right
push.
now.
She needs that. If she doesn't do it, she's just going to be Ruby, and she's just going to cool off and do nothing from here on out. And then if you do the Jamie thing, that's exciting. That's new. And you kind of talked me into it a little more, James, because you had a good rebuttal, and I respect that point of view about it. And Dragoon, too. Dragoon's hype as fuck about it. So I like them. I like the hype around it. So actually, I think this is a plus in a way. It sucks with Thunder Rosa, obviously. But, you know, she'll be champ when she comes back. But I think the worst part about this is, honestly, I am now don't like interim titles anymore because we've had 3 in this year alone, and it's run its course. But you can't not do it after just doing it. So it's like I give the company some slack because, hey, injuries happen, and they happen a lot lately. So
yeah,
they were kind of forced into doing this, even though it's not super exciting to have another interim champion.
Yeah, and I understand that. It's not something that wrestling does a lot with interim championships. Obviously, they're taking from, boxing and MMA, specifically UFC. And that happens quite often in those sports because, those guys and girls get hurt a lot, because they're literally fighting as opposed to figuratively fighting. I don't know. But so I'm fairly used to it and it doesn't bother me, but I could see why, somebody who doesn't watch those sports and isn't used to having interim titles all the time would be like, oh, they just had one and now they're doing another one. And it's kind of weird. They're just repeating it because it's not something they obviously plan. It's something that just ends up coming about due to unfortunate injury. So it is odd timing, but it honestly is it is what it is. And you just have to kind of roll with it. Anyway, that'll be a good match at the pay-per-view. Like you guys said, it's adding a lot more storyline and intrigue into it, but we will talk about that more as we get closer to All Out. Let us move on now to what was probably Danny's favorite match, Colton Gunn versus Billy Gunn. Obviously, Colton comes down with Austin, and Stokely was at ringside watching. Billy came down with the Acclaimed, and before we go into the match, Danny, your review of the Acclaimed rap.
Ooh, so lyric wise, I would say it was like an 8.5 out of 10, but overall like a 7. Like I feel like the Max's his flow was a little off to the point where he had to catch up on the middle lines. But also fuck you, Cleveland. Were they in, right? Cleveland?
Yes,
yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Cleveland. Oh my God, he made that.
They missed a
great
few lines.
Yeah,
the great line about the talent meeting, like
crickets,
just straight whoosh.
It's like, I get it. That's like breaking news. Like you had to have been checking on your way to the fucking show to like know that, but like I expect this crowd to do that. And so good. And just,
the line about the loans being forgiven by Biden, like there's some good lines in there. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, look at that, man. The Claim turned face, and now Caster has to rap a little more liberally. But it was good, and and soon enough you'll all see just how good of a rapper one of us 3 is, and it's gonna be Max will be proud. You're gonna do him proud.
I'm very nervous.
Anyway, to get to the match, which I thought had a tremendous build. Very early in the match, "Who's your daddy?" chants from the crowd. So despite the fact that I'm missing a few of the jokes from the rap, there was a very good chant. Billy got over it by pointing at himself, which I thought was great. I do believe this match, the Guns use the Acclaim's boombox against them. Colton hits a low blow on Billy and then hits a Colt 45 to win. Afterwards, Stokely comes into the ring and gives his business card to the Ass Boys, who accept him and then start stomping the shit out of Billy, which then leads to Swerve and Keith Lee coming out for the save. So this match was cool. Like I enjoyed it. It was fun. I was also kind of making dinner during it, so I missed a couple of things. But the crowd was really into it, and yeah, it was just like I said, just a fun match.
Can I go first?
Yeah. I kind of left that open-ended.
Yeah. So first of all, what'd you have for dinner?
Burritos. Made them myself.
Nice. Sounds good.
How were they?
They were good.
Yeah,
they were good.
That's good. That's fantastic.
Shot meat. Good stuff.
All right. Sounds good. So
I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
I mean, I think we need to like ask each other about our days more, on the podcast.
It's what friends do.
Yeah, we need to fill more time on the podcast. So, we got to ask stuff like that.
Because we haven't been here an hour.
Yeah. So I don't actually have opinions on the match, but I will say this is twice in this show. We'll get to it later, but it's twice in the show that they're just blatantly ripping off WWE now. The "Who's Your Daddy" chant and Billy Gunn pointing at himself. That just happened Monday with Gargano and Theory. Holy shit, bro! But that's not AEW's fault. That's the crowd's fault. Dumbass Cleveland. But fuck, I actually hated this for a lot of reasons. I wish there was more build. I wish Billy Gunn cut a promo, dismissing his whack ass sons. I also don't like that the Ass Boys are still on TV. They lost the dumpster mess. They shouldn't have been on TV immediately after. I don't like Stokely. I still don't get it. I'm trying to give him a chance. I just don't fucking get it. And that's
They're figuring something out.
I know you guys are like him more, and that's fine. I know this is a me thing, but why are the losers of the feud the ones getting the push now? And I know that's weird to say considering the Acclaimed are going on to the pay-per-view to face the tag titles, which is long overdue because we haven't wrestled a tag team match on pay-per-view since they've been there, and they're the best tag team in the world, by far. I don't even know name a better tag team. Exactly. You had plenty of time to answer, you didn't. But they got beat up by two guys and then had to be saved by the tag. How is that a build to a tag title? That is the worst possible. They made them look like chumps, and now we're gonna have to believe that they're contenders. I believe
they are ranked.
I love the Acclaimed, and I've been right about them since day one of them being there. But how could everyone else just can see it as this is no different than when they challenged when they were heels, when they were just a filler tag title match. The same way that we cycle through these teams and their filler tag title matches. How is this any different? How is this a build to a title match? Also, Swerve's not as good as rapper as Max Caster. That's not part of this, but I just wanted to put that out there. But, also, fuck Hit Row. Yeah, they're not as good rappers as they claim.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, but
everybody loves the Acclaim.
I didn't think this was a good build to the tag. I thought it was an atrocious build to a tag title match, but I'm weird. I like seeing Billy Gunn, man. I think he's such a good wrestler. It's so weird.
He looked like he had a great time during this match because he was just taking the piss out of everything his kids do. Everything they did, he just mocked them doing, just being a dad and just be like, look, that's cool when I do it, right? Just absolutely ruining it for them. I honestly, I think that's what I enjoyed most about this match. Just him absolutely taking the piss out of everything. Totally fair. So, James, you got anything for this?
No, I enjoyed it. I just want to bring a little optimism because I think Danny's right. I think it is a weird way to build to a tag match, or a tag title match. But I do appreciate the fact that Swerve and Keith mentioned that, they are ranked and that's why they wanted to save them, because it's a match that they're excited to see, that they're excited to have with them.
Yeah.
And I think one of those things that is just sort of like a universal constant in wrestling is when you have a very popular act, it doesn't necessarily matter how they get to the titles because you just want to see it happen. Even if the Acclaim lose, which I think they will, I'm not happy about it, but you just want to see the Acclaimed get there because who's more over than them in the tag team division right now? Not many
FTR,
people.
And that's it. Just FTR.
Yeah. And FTR is busy elsewhere. So this is the match that makes the most sense.
Because I agree with a lot of what you're saying. You're really stretching the word busy when talking about FTR there. Super busy, but
do you remember when Dax and Cash fired Tully Blanchard? Fuck Tully Blanchard. It was because Tully didn't appreciate that they wanted to put family first. And guess what? That's what they're doing right now. They're putting the Pinnacle first. Wardlow is their bro.
So then why aren't they lobbying for MJF to get paid more?
Because they don't like MJF. They ditched him.
Wow.
They didn't. But we
Sean Spears. I don't want to talk about that though. But
who the fuck is Sean Spears?
When you said that it makes sense for them to save the Acclaim because they're ranked, and you like that. I liked it too. It makes them look great. It made the Acclaim look like fucking jabronis, especially because who did they save them from? The fucking ass boys.
But but it was even acknowledged on commentary. Even the ass boys are ranked right now. They're ranked 5th. So
they're probably going to go higher. Maybe not.
Well, it wasn't a tag match.
Yeah, that's why I said probably not. But also, just to I guess go over that backstage segment, which happened after the women's match, we'll get into in a moment. You know, Swerve and Lee, like you said, like they saved the Acclaim not only because they want a shot at them and want to give them a shot at the titles. Like they love the Acclaimed. Everybody loves the Acclaimed, and they respect them, and that's why they did it. They didn't just do it to make them be jabronis. And the Acclaimed were honestly kind of pissed. Like, they didn't just take it laying down.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that.
They're like, whoa, we deserve this fucking title shot, whether you think we do or not.
Yeah.
You know, so we're going to go in because we're the best tag team in the world, and we're going to beat you for them.
And their pop was bigger than the tag champs pops.
Yeah. I also loved that they were like, everybody loves the Acclaimed.
Yeah, it's like, of course you love us. Everyone loves us.
And then Swerve was like, not no more. Not no more. And I thought that was a funny, like, little subtle thing, and I love that.
A solid ad-lib out of Swerve. All right, let's move on. Like I said, to that women's match I mentioned, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Kylan King. This match mostly revolved around Pittsburgh versus Cleveland, Steelers versus Browns. Britt, obviously a Steelers fan in the Steelers color gear. King is from Ohio, I think, nearby to Cleveland. So that pretty much just revolved around this. Also, King, another good showing after she had
2
a good
weeks
match
in a row.
Last week.
2 weeks in a row. Good for her.
I think I mentioned this last week too. Cody was very high on her when the pandemic hit, and I think they were letting a bunch of people go. Or it was it was after the pandemic, and they were going back on the road, and they were letting a lot of people go, and they weren't sure if like she was going to be a bunch of people were going to be able to say he was one of the ones that he pleaded with on Sammy Vlog, like, hey, people, please, book my friends, like I love them and I want to make sure they do well. So I'm glad to see her, getting TV time, looking good against, high profile people. I think she fought Storm last week, I believe, and now she got Britt and looking good. But obviously Dr. Britt Baker hits the curb stomp, locks in the lockjaw, and eventually gets the wing. She then grabs a mic and starts talking shit about Toni Storm, who comes out. Toni gets blindsided by Jamie Hayter, who beats her up outside and then throws her into the ring for Britt to get her hands on. Hikaru Shida comes down with the kendo stick, clears the ring, and we now set up for a tag match between those two pairs of partners next week, in obvious lead up to the Fatal 4-Way match at All Out. After that, like I said, we had the backstage interview with Swerve Lee and the Acclaimed, then the aforementioned title unification match. Yeah, guys, we're only here. Backstage interview with Chris. Luckily, there wasn't much after this. Backstage interview with Christian Cage. He has a brace on his elbow for when Jungle Boy fucked it up. And he, after cutting a promo on Jungle Boy, he accepts his challenge at All Out. So we're going to get that match, which is cool. Now we finally come to the Ricky Starks promo. I fucking love Ricky Starks.
Yep.
He's so good at showing emotion. Like, he was towing the line tonight between like breaking down crying and absolute rage. He was great. He spent the entire time obviously airing his grievances with Hobbs, which he did a great job about, saying that he thought like Hobbs was his boy. Hobbs checked up on him all the time when he had the neck injury, and he just doesn't understand why Hobbs was turning back on him. And obviously he articulated this a lot better than I am.
Go check out the promo.
Yes, I highly recommend it. Honestly, a lot of people were comparing him to The Rock, but he's going a little more Ric Flair in his promos recently. Like, just taking the mic away from his mouth and like getting all pissed off and ripping clothes off, and
he's got the Rock style. He's got the Rock style, but
he's also got some flair in him. He's doing a great like mashup of the two almost, and it's just absolutely fantastic. But it all ended with Ricky challenging Hobbs to a match at All Out, which has been made. So that's going to be cool. I don't know how that match is going to go, but I'm really excited to see it. And the crowd is very, very, very much behind Ricky Starks right now. So I'm hyped for that.
I just want to say, I love that he touched on Hobbs specifically clotheslining him in the neck.
Yeah.
And that's when he like really broke down during the promo. I thought that was so masterfully executed. I thought it was such a good like detail, and it added so much emotion, and it felt so much more personal of a betrayal. This wasn't just tag team partners splitting up. We've been there. We've seen that. It felt like a real, like two best friends falling out, or at least a guy who really cared about someone else feeling betrayed by that person. It was awesome.
Danny, I know you wanted to talk about Ricky as well a bit. So
this was great.
Great, thank you. After that, we had the aforementioned backstage promo with Mox after he won the title, which is great. We had a quick vignette about Kenny Omega's return, which helped set up the end of the night. And then we had the main event, finally, Death Triangle versus United Empire, being represented by Will Ospreay and Aussie Open.
Did we talk about? No, we did. Christian's promo, right?
Yes, we did. Glossed over it very quickly, but
yeah, gotcha.
If I'm not mistaken, did Death Triangle get a new entrance? It feels like they did.
Unless it looked a little more cinematic.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really liked it. I liked Penta being in the middle, Ray in the face tunnel, Pac in the heel tunnel. I thought it was a really nice touch. It was just straight up awesome. Don Callis was on commentary, which I found intriguing, but I will get to in a minute. Honestly, the first 30 seconds of this match had me hooked. Phoenix versus Ospreay just went bananas in the first 30 seconds, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. And it absolutely was. There was that double Poison Rana spot that Ospreay and Pac both hit, which led to their stare down and eventual sequence, which did not fail to deliver. It was awesome. Absolutely insane sequence. It ended with Pac hitting a German, Ospreay just popping right up from it, hulking up, hitting an Oz cutter onto Pac, and then the both of them just being laid out. It was just awesome. Honestly, this could have been the finals, and I would have been totally okay with it.
Absolutely.
Pac did a moonsault to the outside off the fucking ring post, which was just, I don't even know how he was able to stand on such a small thing. And then that led to Pac being distracted by a man wearing a cardboard box. Now, for those of you who hadn't seen, they've touched it on a bit with Pac in defending the All-Atlantic title back in England, has been pretty much getting stalked by Kip Sabian, who has been the man in the cardboard box sitting at ringside for what feels like the past year.
It has been.
Yeah. Pac finally got fed up enough with Kip to go over and take the box off of his head, but it wasn't Kip. It was a hostage, it looked like. It was tied up in a tape over his mouth, which then led to Kip coming out of nowhere and with a new hair color, but line-siding Pac, hitting him with, I think it was a swinging neck breaker, it looked like, and taking Pac completely out of the match. This kills the Death Triangle. United Empire just completely takes control with Pac down. And Ospreay ends up pinning Phoenix off an Oz cutter with the assist from United Empire. After the match, Kenny and the Bucks come out for the stare down. They face off, obviously, in the semifinals. Commentary made a very big deal about how taped up Kenny was, which I think is obviously going to play an important point. And then Kenny keeps trying to go down to the ring to, get in Ospreay's face. Obviously, they've had a lot of back and forth on Twitter the last 2 months, but Don and the Bucks continuously
way longer than that.
Yeah,
way longer.
Probably, I was going to say, but it's really, I feel like it's really heated up in the last 2 months. James, so I'll go to you first. There was no way I wasn't going to like this match, and I don't think it failed to deliver at all. It 100% delivered. I fucking loved it. Kip Sabian's back, which is cool, and now we're going to get a Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay face off sometime in the near future when the Elite goes off against United Empire. It's all coming together.
No, this is incredible. I'm shocked, honestly. I didn't think we were going to get this match because it feels like this is something New Japan would want to hold on to for themselves, especially with there being word of a AEW wrestlers participating at Wrestle Kingdom, Kenny versus Ospreay feels like a match that will happen there.
Yes.
So to give a little backstory to give a little backstory to everybody who might not be familiar with New Japan. After Kenny Omega left New Japan as the top gaijin, as the top outsider of their company, he looked at the two most obvious heirs apparent to his position, Will Ospreay and Jay White, and told them, it's up to you guys to represent the gaijins of this company. It's up to you guys to represent the West, which doesn't make sense because one's British, one's from New Zealand. But regardless, and then in the months following, in the years following, Kenny has kept the kayfabe, has kept the story going that Will Ospreay has been disappointing him. Will Ospreay had every opportunity to take advantage, to ascend, to take his position, to be better. And Will Ospreay didn't do that, according to Kenny Omega. Now, this is a Will Ospreay who has won the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So let's see how realistic that criticism is. But either way, this is a feud that's been boiling over for a very, very, very long time. And the fact that we're getting it on AEW television is astounding. And to the match itself.
But like I said, though, this is just the appetizer for what is going to be the one-on-one match.
Absolutely. And there was also a fun extra wrinkle at the end where Kenny was very okay with going down to the ring and confronting Ospreay. It was Callis who stopped him from doing so.
And the Bucks as well, but Don was literally holding him back.
Yes.
The Bucks were like, dude, chill.
These are the signs of a babyface turn for Kenny. You know? These are the signs of there being dissension with Kenny and Don Callis. So for everyone who was against Callis showing up last week and being with Kenny, this felt like, all right, they know what they're doing. There is no real need to worry. There is no real need to be concerned. So as far as the after-match stuff went, I think they told two excellent stories with just a few minutes. As for the match itself, you nailed it. It would be impossible to not like this match. Will Ospreay, who was first presented to us in AEW in somewhat of a lackluster way, has really rebounded. And I'm sure Danny will agree, it's entirely thanks to that feud and match with Orange Cassidy. Aussie Open as a whole, you know, it's whatever. It's not they're not really my cup of tea, but they're not, like, they are objectively good. They really are.
Yeah, and I thought they played really well off the Lucha Brothers tonight, too. Yeah. So
there's a part of me that's upset the Death Triangle isn't moving forward.
Same.
But I will say, of all the trios in this tournament who deserve it, they are probably the trio I'm least concerned with, because at one point or another, all three members have worn gold. Pac is currently holding gold, while we have groups like the Dark Order who have held nothing, House of Black who have held nothing, the Best Friends who have held nothing, you know? So I'm sad to see them lose in the first round, but it's probably for the best that we don't see Kenny and Pac again for a little while. And even though that match would be amazing, we've seen it a few times. Great match, great action between two of Britain's finest, and I guess Mexico's finest also.
And a couple of Aussies' finest as well. Like,
sure,
like,
if you say so.
This match fucked is the only way to put it. It really is. Danny, I'll go to you now that you've returned. What do you think of this match? What do you think of the build to next week and everything with Kenny?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say I disagree with everything James said, even though I wasn't here.
Fair.
But now that I'm back, so there's a lot of things I'm going to say about this, but since just recently, for this match and Pac's promo got me so excited that I wanted them to win the whole tournament. There's just something about Pac. He's so good at promos, and no one talks about it. Like, he has such an air to him, and he carries himself in such a serious way that he's like Eddie Kingston, the fact that I'm like, bro, is this real to you? Like, what's going on up there, man? Like he makes me believe in him so much more. And like, he's a very protected guy in AEW. Like he hasn't taken many losses, and like I would have been fine with them going to the finals. I'll be fine with Aussie Open or whatever the whole group is called.
United Empire.
Okay, United Empire going to the finals. I'd be fine with the Elite going to the finals. You know why? Because at least the main person in all three of those groups has had feuds with Orange Cassidy, who's going to be in the finals. So it's all win-win. So it's fantastic no matter what, but I would have liked, I don't know, the right side of this bracket is super fucking weak. Oh my God. Oh, that's not true. House of Black's in it. House of Black could easily be in the finals too, but like, you know.
I think they face Dark Order on Friday.
Yeah, and they're going to win, but like, you know.
Hey, we don't even know who their partner is.
They are.
It's 10 because Uno is in Germany.
It's a mystery. I think we're getting Hangman.
Oh, that's. Oh.
That'd be odd.
Give me Hangman versus the Elite. Give me Hangman versus the Elite. Give me Hangman versus the Elite.
I don't want but best friends, dude.
No, best friends.
They're not making it anyway.
But also, I think that would really suck if Hangman ended up in the tournament after spending the last few weeks saying he didn't want to be in the tournament and he's trying to be there for his friends.
Also, House of Black losing first round, like, come on, that's lame.
They're lame. They've done nothing. It's been a year.
Hangman and the Dark Order have done nothing. It's been more than a year.
I need the best friends to beat House of Black because Orange Cassidy puts on the sunglasses when Malachi goes for the mist. I need that in the semifinals. Shut the fuck up, James. As much as I love Dark Order,
no, you're right.
I need that.
You're right.
That's fantastic. That's actually amazing.
One positive thing I will say, and you said it too, Danny, in your own way. There are so many teams to really root for in this tournament. It doesn't feel like anybody deserves it more than anybody else. Or at the very least, there's an argument for every team deserving it. Yeah. And every team is exciting. It's the first tournament in a long time that I think could almost go anyway.
I think the only team that didn't deserve it was the team that lost last week. The faction, because they just kind of having Lee in there was just dragging. It was just whatever. Like he was just kind of there.
They didn't even acknowledge it this week. Yeah, they turned on Dragon Lee.
I honestly forgot. So
that was the only team I was just like, you're clearly here to lose. Everyone else,
the Trustbusters,
the Trustbusters. Yeah, I forgot. I just completely forgot they were a thing because
I didn't know they were a thing, and I still don't know. I don't know what they look like because
they just added an extra member, so they have a 5th member now.
Oh, they got 5 now.
They had 4. I don't even know.
They got Ari Daivari. I know they got Sonny Kiss. I know they got the big dude
Parker Boudreaux.
Sure. But anyway,
and I don't even know who else is in it. But
to the match itself, that Ospreay guy, he's not too bad, he had some good stuff. Like I said, the rep from Orange Cassidy has really done wonders for him, and I don't know, man. Now I really want to see him and Pac in a singles match again. I know they went to a draw last time, but like,
where was that James? Do you know?
That interaction was
that was on pay-per-view.
Well, it was a New Japan pay-per-view, or was that?
Wait, no. Who are we talking about?
Ospreay. Yeah.
Oh, Pac. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking Pac and Orange. My bad.
Yeah, no, that was like one of the first pay-per-views in the company.
That was why the crossover happened. New Japan was like, oh, we got Orange Cast. Yeah, okay.
But no, where did Pac versus Ospreay take place? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure. It could have been DDT. It could have been Rev Pro. It could have been. Not DDT. It could have been Dragon Gate at one point or another, or even Evolve.
Confused.
But
I figured it was somewhere in Britain.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure.
But I'm excited that Kip Sabian is finally back.
Me too.
That being said, I'm gonna shit on it a little bit, just a little bit. Because like I said earlier, when I said the "Who's Your Daddy" thing was just.
Oh, I knew. My mind just bounced there.
Bro, this was what Dexter Lumis just did on Raw. He had the decoy guy in the helmet that got ripped off, and it wasn't him, just for him to be the other guy. They come out of nowhere, except it was done better because he at least kidnapped the Miz like a fucking hero. Like,
and then showed up on NXT the next night to visit his wife.
So like that was just
great.
Admitting like that he's not getting like, even though like, oh, this guy's back, but like he did us a solid. He took out the Miz, you know, like it's literally like it's the weirdest hostage situation you've ever seen.
Right?
No one's gonna pay to get the Miz back, so it's like a victimless crime, you know?
No, I don't agree. That man has a family.
And they're better
that
off
makes a
now.
lot of money for USA Network. USA Network is going to pay to get him back. That's who's going to pay.
The insurance policy on that man's life, his kids will forget about him real quick. All right, don't even worry about it. So this is like a word, just Tony. I get that you watch all wrestling, but like, bro, it's just happened on Raw. Give it a couple weeks at least, you know, before you rip these things straight from it and don't do them as well. But
I don't blame the ass daddy stuff. I don't blame the ass daddy stuff.
Yeah, again, because the crowd did that. You know, that's on the crowd.
This one's a little different. This one's this one's bad.
It's just the decoy part of it that really was like, dude, this is literally what just happened on Monday. Like, just me and James were just talking about this on Monday, and we both agreed it's great that he kidnapped the Miz. And
I don't think we agree.
What a babyface turn.
He was babyface anyway. Coming back.
No, it wasn't a bit. He was a stalker, murderer guy,
but in a good way. It's no different. If we could cheer Kane, we could cheer Dexter Lumis.
No, I was gonna say this is actually the equivalent of like, I guess, You on Netflix, where it's like the guy's a killer, but like you don't like him apparently. Like that's what Dexter Lumis just did by kidnapping Miz. But I'm actually really glad Kip Sabian's back. It's just worst possible week to do it, but like I'm so glad he's back, and I'm willing to see I won't see where that goes because it's all Atlantic title, so it won't be on AEW when it happens. But you know, I like that it's happening. I love Kip.
I agree entirely. I am a big fan of Kip. A lot of people forget that I think he was part of like the first match at All In with Sammy Guevara. Or at the maybe a first match for AEW. I don't remember where it was.
The first match on Dynamite was Sammy versus
Cody.
Yeah,
Cody. I know for a fact I was at a match where Kip Sabian wrestled Sammy Guevara and Kip beat Sammy.
It could have been All In.
It could have been. And everybody hyped up Sammy, but I felt something special with Kip. And then he kind of fell behind and Sammy's star flourished. And I'm happy for Sammy. But I always felt bad for Kip. And then the stuff with Miro happened, and I wanted there to be payback, which is why it's a little weird for me that he's coming back as a heel, not confronting Miro. Although, admittedly, Miro is a babyface right now.
He's busy with the House of Black, too.
He's busy with nothing.
We're not using busy wrong tonight a lot.
In theory.
But I agree. Kip Sabian's great, and it's good that he's finally getting his rub. It's just weird how like I didn't care about Death Triangle until tonight, and now I'm upset that they're not in it anymore. It's just like because Pac is just so good. Every time he comes back, I'm just like, oh yeah, like you're fantastic. Your group makes no sense, but you guys work together somehow. It's so fantastic. But like, the match itself, phenomenal. I don't really give a fuck about Aussie Open like James. But Ospreay is really good. Phoenix is really good. Pac is amazing. I'm starting to think Pac is better than most people, and we just don't realize it. But Penta is fine. He's fantastic. But like he's the real, like, you know, I've said it with the Lucha Bros. Like I've kind of gotten over them because of their weird on and off presentation with AEW. But
Penta is overexposed. Overexposed.
Yeah,
and not evil enough.
Phoenix doesn't get to shine as a character, and I think it's mostly because of the language barrier, if that is the reason. But
and he does speak some English, so like they can make it work.
And Pac just needs to let go of England, right?
No, I disagree. Oh, you mean in terms of like leaving it? Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Okay. Pac is basically brave without power, as Eric said, and
how? But okay.
There's something. It's the way he talks. It's his diction, his cadence, the way he delivers words. I swear to God, like he doesn't speak in riddles, but the way he talks, it almost sounds like it. It sounds like he always sounds like he knows something that the other person doesn't know.
That's just called being British.
All right.
That's literally just called being British.
Let's take a second because I love Pac, but let's acknowledge tonight in a promo he said, "We're not going to kill you. We're going to murder you." It's the same thing.
But because it's just a different British, word.
All right, I'm sorry.
We're not just going to kill you. We're going to murder you.
What's explain to me the difference?
Sure. Okay. So like
manslaughter versus homicide.
Like, you know,
or murder one.
Jeff Hardy could get into his car.
Bye. Mute it. End the call. End the call, Nick.
No, I'm not going to end it because before we do end, I do want to get this take off because I think I'm going to be right. I think that Don Callis is going to turn on Kenny in favor of Will Ospreay.
I don't know about Ospreay. I do think he's going to turn on him in general. Yes,
but I think he's going to align with Ospreay.
Going to turn on him, but I think Rev's making a great call with the Ospreay thing.
I think it's going to be Adam Cole.
Him turning means it could be Adam Cole too. It's like, but I like the idea of Ospreay more. But Cole makes more sense. But Rev said it, and I like it.
It could happen next week or whenever that match happened. I don't know when the semifinal match is. I don't know if it's next week or.
Cole's going back to WWE. Let's get here. He's asking for his release.
I think the issue is turning on Kenny for Ospreay is short term because Ospreay is not going to be around AEW long term. He'll pop up here.
I don't think Callis is going to be either.
But if he turns on Kenny for Cole, he gets to stick around. And there's payoff to that feud. If he turns on him for Ospreay just leaves eventually.
Yeah.
So
I could fuck him over next week using Ospreay and then flip on him with somebody else.
And I will also say that from a New Japan perspective, Callis does not fit with Ospreay as much as he would fit with Cole. Like Ospreay's storyline right now, he just lost in the finals of the G1 to Okada.
Good match.
That man is on an emotional journey, and Callis does not fit in it. At least in my opinion.
Callis could turn on him for Paul White, Paul Heyman style,
It's a possibility.
But I think we can all agree that Callis is turning on Kenny sooner than later.
Yeah, 100%. But I hope you're right, Rev, and I hope you're right, James. But I hope Rev's right a little more than I hope you're right.
Fair.
Other than that, guys, this was a really, really good fucking show. I think we can all agree.
Dynamite.
Yeah, the pacing was really good. There was a lot of shock and wow value. I don't think there was really a bad match on this card. So they set up a lot for All Out, a lot of announced matches. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I know it was also a bit controversial and not everybody liked the title match, but either way, everyone's talking about it.
It put butts in seats, as Tony Schiavone would say.
It definitely did. So I'm excited for next week. I'm excited leading up to All Out. I am so intrigued by what they're going to do at this pay-per-view and everything leading up to it. So I'm really, really hyped to watch it next week. And I'm really, really hyped to come back here and talk about it again next week as well. So that being said, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We are really, really close to 100 subscribers.
We're at 98.
We are currently at 98. Nice. That means 2 more. And James, our very own James, will wrap and dye his beard green.
I am both so excited to dye this beard green and so terrified to do this wrap. Guys, I might have...
It's so weird. I feel like that should be the other way around because the wrap is like, you do it once and that's it.
I get to shave the beard.
You gotta walk around with that. You gotta go for public with that.
For a week at most.
I mean, you're gonna. I know you, James.
Keep it for like a month at least.
Can't do it.
No, here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna dye it for the show, and then he'll do this and the tape show, and then he'll like just completely shave, and we'll get babyface James next week.
Wait, am I a heel?
No, I meant like literally baby faced. No, well, actually, knowing you, your beard grows back crazy fast, so you'll probably be fine the next week anyway.
Oh, so you could just dye it every Wednesday.
We're not that desperate for subs.
There's nothing to do with subscribers anymore.
This is just Danny's own personal evil plan to torture you. So speaking of liking, subscribing thing, check out all of our social media stuff down below: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Danny, you got to send me a TikTok link so I can put it in the descriptions.
It's in the doc.
The
login's in the doc. I guess.
No, the login's in the doc. Don't go into the doc, people. That's private information. But
I don't know how. I don't know how.
Type your email. I'll send you a link to the doc, people.
And yeah, go check out some of our other videos. We will have our weekly podcast coming out later in the week. Danny does Raw Fast Forwards on Monday. Sometimes James is there. Sometimes Chad will do something on Tuesday for NXT. Sometimes James will do something on Thursday for Impact. We don't watch SmackDown. It's just not our thing. But if something big happens on it, we do tend to talk about it.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. We're busy on Friday.
Go Sami Zayn.
Yes, there you go. Go Sami Zayn. And that being said, for Danny Hernandez and James Santi, my name is Nick Cummings. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you here next week on the Market Down